Hello, my name is Adrianna Morgan, and my background is primarily Afro and Indo Caribbean. Growing up, in terms of people challenging my identity, well, I'll honestly say it starts with my father. So, I am Trinidadian American. My parents emigrated from Trinidad and Tobago, and I was born here in Maryland. I am a proud Marylander. They say Marylanders are so proud of themselves that they put their flag on everything, and that is totally me. However, the Trinidadian flag always comes first. So my father would always say, if somebody were to ask me, what am I or where am I from? And I would say, I'm Trinidadian. But my dad would correct me and he would say, no, you're American. And I would think, like, what does that mean? This happened when I was young, maybe like elementary school through middle school. And I just didn't understand like how I was different to my parents. Like, you all are Trinidadian, so how am I not Trinidadian? Like, I didn't really know what American meant and how I constituted as such. But I definitely am. You can hear how I speak. I don't have the accent, but somewhere within this, I'm gonna have either a strange sentence formation, or I might throw in you know, I don't know. It pops up when I least expect it. So, I mean, I grew up in a primarily Jewish community, so I didn't have really any friends that were of Caribbean descent, which was fine. Like, I had my household, and my household was a very unapologetically Trini household. Like, I grew up with the music, with the food, with the cultural wear, with, the our families want to share our culture and be open about it and talk to, our white, black, Latino friends, whoever. We share the culture and have always done that. So, I mean, going into like elementary school and middle school, when people were starting to try and put me in a box, that box was Latino or Latina for me, Latinx, which is fine, but that's not what I am. So, I mean, I found comfort in Latin culture, especially in dance, like salsa, merengue, bachata, reggaeton, lo que sea. But I in no way, shape, or form said, no, Trini culture, you are not coming front and center. It always was. That was home base. That was where I felt the most comfortable. Even with my American friends, like, say they talked about a TV show or a song on the radio or something, like, I didn't know about it. Like, I knew about the Trini stuff first. Families sending their CDs from Trinidad to keep us up to date. We are lucky here in Baltimore to have a Caribbean radio station that plays only on Saturdays, but at least we had it. It was on Saturdays and still is on Saturdays. Coming out of a university and or broadcasting from a university, and I'm forever grateful for that, because that was a way. They had a news segment, they had their music segment, they had what's going on in the Baltimore, Maryland area. That was a Caribbean event or a meeting or something. So I appreciated that being present, and my parents being able to find that. I'm sure that was a point of comfort for them as well. Going into college now, there was more of a mix and an opportunity to explore my culture, or even the separations within the culture, the Indian, the African, the Spanish, the whatever. I'm super mixed, but I focused on those. So there was a Caribbean Student Association, but in that club, I realized that, there are different levels to what a Caribbean American can be, and what they know, what they don't know, what they identify with, what they don't. And one thing that I noticed, at least in this club, there wasn't really any Indo-Caribbean representation, and I did not have anyone to really mesh with that, which again is fine. not the most fun, but I honestly took that and said to myself, well, they would have an annual event that they would put on, and so I said, well, I'm going to be the Indo-Caribbean representation. I'm going to do a chutney performance. I'm going to have the audience involved. I'm going to have the MC involved. We're going to have a little preliminary history lesson. So for the years that I was in college, I stuck with that and made that my thing. Chutney, screwing the light bulb and everything. Everyone knows me for that. But again, like, I tried to explore my African heritage as well, but I felt kind of weird. My mother's primarily Indian, so I grew up more with that culture, and my father's more so mixed, even though he's primarily of African descent. But we don't really do too much in that sense, and I hope I can explore that further. That is something at this point, I hope to take away and continue with. But in college, that was a little bit difficult because there were people in the African Diaspora Club who were like parents from Nigeria, or they were super tied to that, and I didn't really have anything to go off of, even though I do want to explore that side of myself. And then back to the Latinx culture, full embrace. I ended up teaching or being a co-captain of our Latin dance team, so that just furthered it. Everybody was like, oh yay, Adrianna's Dominican, that's awesome. And I'm like, cool, but I'm still Trini. I just happen to like your style of dance and music a lot. But I mean, even though there was a lot of kind of cultural confusion for me going through the ages, there is no doubt that I am proud Miss Little Trini-American, and I love my culture. I explore it through all forms of art, whether that's music, dance, visual arts, which is my primary thing. I look deeply to my culture to influence the pieces that I make, whether it's food, whether it's something from folklore, maybe even the agriculture. I'll pull from that and I create wearable pieces. So then again, that ties to carnival. Those are wearable art pieces. So there's no point in my being and cultural exploration where I don't tie something into it, regardless of me being American and having lived here, never having lived in Trinidad. I've visited, but back to what my father said, you are American? Yes, I am. But best believe I'm Trini to the bone, as everyone says. So yeah, I love my culture. What can I say?